Everyone is asking the same question repeatedly. Is AI and robots going to take the jobs? It is going to impact the economy in the negative way, cause all the chaos. That question is why most of the AI programs are failing. The problem is not the technology itself, it's the team. The companies are right now throwing money at AI, they're throwing money at robotics, humanoids, and they're hoping that everything is going to work together. It in fact doesn't. In fact, the technology causes the erosion of trust. Roles get blurred and accountability completely vanishes. This video is for the leaders who are responsible for the outcomes, not just the tools or the pilots, but results. I'm going to share with you a simple framework that you can use anywhere. It's called HART, H-A-R-T. Human-centric purpose, allocation by strength, reduce cognitive load, trust through behavior. We're going to take one idea at a time, fix the problem, move on to the next one. If you have ever seen AI system that was technically correct but completely ignored, this is going to click with you. So let's start with H, human-centric purpose. Hybrid teams must always start with a human problem, not the technology. Humans have built cities, they have built industries, they have went to space programs and done a lot of cool things. They also have limits. People get tired. They carry personal cognitive biases. They cannot process massive amount of information at machine speed. Traditionally, automation tried to compensate for this. Assembly lines improved the overall efficiency, but created a very rigid system that failed when the conditions changed. Modern AI and robotics expand what is possible, but they do not change the fundamental what human beings are responsible for. AI is going to lack ethic, it's going to lack judgment. Robots are going to lack index and codex. Human beings are accountable for outcomes. So what is the failure diagnostic here? If your AI system answers no one asked, you did not start with the human problem. So the lesson learned is if you cannot clearly state a human problem you're solving, you're not ready to deploy AI or robots. A, allocation by strength. Hybrid teams fail when everything does a little of everything. What I mean by that is they succeed when each participant is assigned a very specific activity that matches their own respective strengths. Human beings can handle judgment, we can handle ethics, creativity, and exceptions. AI agents and Gen AI, they can handle data-intensive cognitive workload. Control studies have frequently shown that 30 to 80% reduction in tasks that are complete time for like writing, analysis, coding when AI is used correctly. Robots, on the other hand, humanoids, they handle the physical work that's repetitive, precise, and many conditions hazardous. New humanoid robots can extend the capability into space designed also for people. Examples already exist. Tesla has stated that the Optimus Gen 2 is roughly 30% faster and 10 kilograms lighter than its predecessor, with the redesigned hand that includes tactical sensors for delicate object manipulation. BMW and Amazon have confirmed the limited humanoid deployments focused on repetitive and very well-scoped tasks in their factories. Research, including MIT-led studies, have shown productivity gains in the range of 60 to 80% when humans and AI are paired deliberately. Pure automation is always going to deliver far smaller gains. So the diagnostic here is if humans and machine duplicate the work, the role allocation has failed. The lesson learned is we need to assign the work based on comparative advantage, not the availability. Or reduce cognitive load. If the people are confused, the system is absolutely broken. So working memory can only hold a few ideas at one point of time. Overloading people in our organization with alerts, with dashboards, with explanation is going to cause disengagement and eventually rejection. Effective hybrid systems are going to reduce the cognitive load by design. They follow a simple pattern. What they do is they present the problem, they show the concrete example, and then they state the rule. The communication channels is going to differ, like human uses voice, visual, and touch, whereas machine, they generally uses streams. Interfaces must translate clearly so then the machine can interpret that information. Augmented reality is an example, which in this example we're already applying. In manufacturing, AR systems show robot paths, take the steps, and safety boundaries. Analysts, they project AR spending to grow from a low single digits to billions in early 2025, to tens of billions in 2030, by large industrial use cases. Transparency absolutely matters in this case. AI recommendations must be explainable and robot movements must be predictable. So what's the failure diagnostic in this case? If the operator needs a constant explanation, cognitive load is going to be very high. The lesson learned is clarity is always going to beat the capability. T for trust. Trust through behavior. Without the trust, the hybrid teams are going to fail regardless of what the performance is going to be. The survey data consistently shows skepticism towards AI at work. And why is that? Because fewer than half of the workers trust the AI in workplace decisions because the AI is not deployed responsibly. The trust starts when the expectations from a management perspectives are met and the systems do what they actually claim, do it very, very consistently. Polling, in fact, shows some 60% of the people that support AI as a decision support, not as a fully autonomous decision maker. Human in the loop design is how this trust is actually going to work and manifest. Now, a common failure pattern that looks like this: an AI flags a real issue, operators completely ignore it because they don't understand why the issue is flagged, and the system is technically correct, but operationally it's not effective. So safety reinforcement is also very important because physical safety is mandatory when early pilots show the rebalancing work based on stress or workload of human being. So what's the failure diagnostic here? If the people bypass the system, the trust is already broken. The lesson learned here is that trust is designed through behavior. It's not through promise or policy. So who owns the HART? Let's talk a little bit more about the governance. So HART is not owned by IT alone. Ownerships actually need to sit with the leadership who is accountable for the outcome across the human behavior, system behavior, and potentially the risks that are associated with it. Without the clear ownership, the hybrid teams are going to degrade into disconnected tools, which is not what we want to happen. So how do we put this into practice? So first, from an automotive assembly plant is going to illustrate the full framework. So let's take an example where human-centric purpose is going to define what people remain accountable for. And the allocation by strength assigns the welding robots, optimization through AI, and expectations for a human being. This is going to reduce the cognitive load and keep the interface simple and explainable. Trust through behavior is explained through behavioral predictive outcomes and transparent recommendations. The result is not just an efficiency focus, but it's also adaptability and resilience. So hybrid teams are not human versus machines. They're actually humans working with the machines and the Gen AI capabilities side by side. So remember HART: human-centered purpose, allocation by strength, reduce cognitive load, and trust through behavior. So here's the next step. Pick one real workflow in your organization, run through the HART framework, identify which is the weakest in this part. Fix that first, then move on to the next one. This work takes time and discipline. There's no shortcut, unfortunately, to this. The leaders who deliberately design now will define how the work functions are going to look at native. If you want to dive deeper in some of these capabilities, then you can watch my next video that's showing up on the screen.